Let me bang. I do let you bang. Hey, let me bang you, Caleb, man. I let you bang. I let you bang. Greetings, marriage and virgins.
Go for Jesus. No forget Jesus, people.
Hey, I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is time once again for your favorite mixed martial arts podcast. Recording out of Los Angeles, California, it's MMA Roasted with Adam Hunter.
Who the fuck is that guy?
Hey, welcome to our brand new MMA Roasted Podcast. It's me, Adam Hunter. I am in Cabo, Mexico, doing the Cabo Comedy Club, which was started. I opened the whole thing. They started the club last night. They actually had to move the location that day of the club, which is always because I guess
the day before the first show.
The day of the first show, they actually moved it, but the place is better, and it was fun. It was, definitely some things that we need to work on, like some lights and the speaker.
Sound, though, because that's the most important.
The sound's good, although like all the speakers are on stage, so people get like blasted out. So I'm like, you gotta move a speaker here, but and then a lot of people came to the show. They just came for dinner, one of those things. They got barrage. So I'm happy that I was the guy because those are like my favorite shows. People don't know they're coming to a comedy show. They just get like ambushed with a show, but. People liked it. They're going to come back, Dude, I walked around Cabo last night. You would not know there was a pandemic at all. It was like spring break, Cancun spring break. Kids everywhere. Like 20, 21, 20. And then some lady tried to wanted me to take a picture with a big iguana. She's like, hey, you want to take a picture? It's this, Mexican woman. And I was like, right? I was like, and I looked at the thing and I looked, I just felt bad for it. Like it was like on her arm. So I was like, well, how much for that iguana? She's like, $50. And I was like, she's like, 20. And I was like, gonna get it. But then I'm like, I'm not sure I'm allowed to bring an iguana back into the US. Yeah. It could be, but I actually felt bad for the iguana. I actually like legit felt bad for it. But yeah.
Anyway, they sit in a rock and they fucking flap their tongue for spot. They don't do anything anyways. Who cares if they hang out on the beach and get photos?
I mean, they're kind of like comics, actually. They just sit there and just take.
Feel bad for you feel bad for the comics, not the animal.
Exactly. So, but I didn't.
That was good.
It was good. It's nice to be like just where there's like normalcy. Everyone isn't like running from each other. And I got my booster shot last week, and I was online with like 30 people. I'm like, I'm gonna get COVID right here. Exactly. You might as well just put like line for COVID because I'm sitting there going like, I'm definitely getting it. People are sitting there, they're coughing. I'm like, come on, this is insane. So McCorkle, how are you?
I'm doing all right. I thought you couldn't get it if you were vaccinated. Isn't that the whole point?
No, they're saying that like it's good for 3 hours. You get the booster shot and then you won't get COVID for 3 hours. But literally,
my favorite part is how they're like, oh no, but it would have been much worse if you hadn't had the thing. Like, how do you know what it would have been if I hadn't had the vaccination? Like, we're just assuming it would have been worse. Could have been the exact same. Yeah,
there's no actual proof of that. But they are saying that the people that are in urgent care or in the hospitals, most of them are not vaccinated. So that's what they're saying.
They're saying that the people people getting COVID after vaccination is like 10 times more likely than getting COVID twice. So in other words, if you already had COVID, you're almost never going to get it again. But if you got vaccinated, you're going to get COVID again.
Dude, I did a show at the Dime Bar on Tuesday, and it holds 50 people. And this girl in the front had a mask on. It's always funny when there's like a couple or people and then one person has a mask and the other one doesn't. I always just find that funny. And I'm like, why are you wearing a mask? And this was a beautiful black woman. And she's like, I got COVID 4 times. I'm like, are you hanging out in Wuhan? Like what? 4 times. And then I told the joke. I'm like, that joke bombed so bad she got COVID again. So then the other comic went on. This guy Brian, funny comic Brian Kim. He's like, I thought it was only 3 strains. What did you get? The unreleased strain? But like she's like, then she became. Yeah.
every week.
So yeah, it was just crazy. But Sean's like, fuck it. Sean's like, not vaccinated, no mask. I like how you'll put anything else in your body. So
yeah. Well, I mean, steroids, you know, they're going to help you to some degree. Like at least, like the vaccination thing. If they weren't pushing it so hard, I wouldn't be that worried about it. You know, I mean, I think some old people should probably get it because it probably helps them. But anybody that adamant that everyone has to get it, there's something else behind it because I know they for sure don't care about our health. So
yeah.
I don't know. So, I would wish they could just figure out what the mental illness is or what virus caused the mental illness that gave Brendan Shaw a stand-up comedy career. That's what I'd be trying to figure out.
By the way, I heard he's gotten really good. I heard that from a reliable source. He's become a very good comic recently.
That guy needs to be fact-checked, whoever told you that. He needs to be banned from Twitter.
Was the reliable source Brendan Schaub? Like, was that the so all right. So we got to talk about this fighter that's in Ryzen. And he was in the UFC. He got cut after one fight. Now he's in Ryzen. He says in order to pay for fight camps, he had to give hand jobs for money. His name is Yoshinori Hori is his name. He said he was deceived. He was deceived, and he was giving, I don't know, but he said he's not gay, but he was giving people hand jobs to pay for his fight camp.
How was he deceived into giving hand? He thought it was something else? He thought it was like a joystick? Like, what the fuck? How are you deceived?
His sensei was like, wax on, wax off. Like, okay.
You're right. How was he get? He said he was deceived because I guess when he took the job, he was deceived in performing. Or I don't know why he's telling everyone this. Why couldn't he? Like no one, because then he says he's not gay. Which if he is gay, who gives a shit if he's not gay? But like this makes it seem like he is gay by him saying he's not gay. Not that it matters, but he says he was deceived. He's 4-1 since going into the UFC. He took to social media on Sunday where he revealed he was previously deceived into performing sex acts. I don't speak Japanese, so it's hard to read this. But he goes, okay, 5 years ago, I was with a friend. I was told I can get money just by hand job in Shibuya, but I followed him. I thought I was like that AV. LOL. I was told to hide my face with a solid mosaic, and it was explained that it was not like that. But I was deceived in various ways. LOL. I didn't have the money. I really wanted to do martial arts on my own. I got $20,000 yen in less than an hour, but it was pretty big. I was able to face martial arts in short time, exceeding the amount of 2 days part-time work I do for 8 hours. It was pretty painful now, but as long as I'm alive, I can chase my dreams. And I like women, not gays. I've done them. I've done the money to live to do martial arts. So
sounds like he needs to do some more hand jobs and pay for English classes. I didn't understand almost any of that.
Part of me is like, did he actually know what a hand job was? Maybe that's the bad translation. Maybe it was something like work, and he just fucking like worked with his hands, and now he's completely fucked.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing is just strange. It's just random. Like he just comes and tells everyone this. Like I don't understand what.
What's the face thing? It says there was a mosaic on his face when he gave the hand job.
I guess maybe he was in what I'm thinking is there might be a video of it or something, and maybe he's being blackmailed, and he's like maybe striking first by saying like, look, here's what happened before the video comes out. Because it doesn't seem like this is something that you just want to voluntarily tell people on Twitter, hey, I gave hand jobs, I was deceived, I'm not gay. It sounds like
unless he's trying to train with Dominic Cruz. That'd be like way to put it out there. By the way, I'll give hand jobs for training. Phone starts ringing.
So I like posted, well, at least now he's in Ryzen, so it's a happy ending. And then a lot of people on my feed were saying that like, hey, it's not that serious. Like some things that I won't do. A lot of UFC fighters were like, nope, fighting's not that important. Where I got to give a hand job. Dude, meanwhile, I remember being in sleepaway camp when I think I was 8 years old. It was like the last day at camp. And these counselors on the last day just started grabbing each other's dicks. Like they had like full on boners and they were like jerking each other and we all just ran away. Everyone ran away and they're like, hey, look, I can grab my friend's cock. These guys were like in college. Yeah. I don't know what. Yeah, why my parents said that.
If you take a job and kids into the woods for a summer, it probably means you want to fuck the kids. You know what I mean? In all honesty, right? Like Lucy said. Like, no, like who wants to hang out with other people's kids? Ugh. Unless you want to fuck them. Let's be honest.
I coach wrestling, and I don't want to fuck any kids. I don't take them to the woods, so I do resent that. But I understand what you're saying. Now, last night they had a big grappling competition. You watch this grappling competition? Okay.
I didn't hear about it.
It was on Fight Pass. It's called Fury FC, and they had a bunch of UFC fighters that competed, and then but they had no leg locks or ankle locks. No heel hooks because they didn't want the guys to get hurt. So right away they had Sean Brady, who was this like huge jack guy from Philly, just fucking a monster. He went up against Craig Jones and he beat Craig Jones, right? Because he just basically held him down and pinned him for 8 minutes. They got to figure out a way to make grappling more exciting because it was like all these people were like excited, and then a guy would just hold each other down for I was always against the whole, start off in a rear naked choke in position or arm bar to see who won. But they went to the judges, and the judges were just basically saying, well, who got more takedowns, who went for more, but they weren't really counting subs from the back. Like it seemed like a lot of guys were going for subs, but they weren't really. It was the guy who basically controlled the action. It was weird judging. But the whole time, the announcers were saying how great, and it was good announcers. It was Paul Felder, CM Punk, and what's his name? John Morgan was there, right? So I gotta decline that. So, but the whole time they're like, Craig Jones, different level. Craig Jones, number 2 in the world. Craig Jones is the greatest. Craig Jones. It was all Craig. Meanwhile, for 8 minutes, the guy's being laid on and is doing nothing. And they're like, he's doing things so advanced. I don't know what he's doing. That's how advanced. And he wasn't doing anything. And then,
were they the same same weight class?
Yeah, pretty much. And then at the very end, Craig Jones is like, nothing happened. He just laid on me. And then Paul Felder, who's from Philly, I think had his buddy's thing. He's like, well, you didn't do anything to sweep him. So, hey, buddy, if you're so.
And then CM Punk was like, I don't know what rules they're using, but his back was on the mat for far longer than 3 seconds.
Hey, John, I want to ask you a quick question because you trained jiu-jitsu like for only 5 years before you got Mark Hunt in an armbar.
Yeah.
Were you just like a freak athlete with jiu-jitsu? Because I got to tell you, man, 5 years is not a lot of time for jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, I had only trained about 2 years of those 5 also because I had hurt my back and wasn't really doing much. I submitted the teacher my very first class, a Brazilian black belt. Of course, I was twice his size, but I had just seen what I had seen on TV. Like I'd seen Kimura's on TV, and I always thought, man, if you was like a dude as strong as I am, I could grab that wrist to control their arm. I could do that all day long, Yeah. So, the very first time the teacher is a Brazilian guy, Marcelo Montero. I only trained with him about 6 months, but he did charge me for 7 years, so that was nice of him. I grappled with him, submitted him the very first class I went to, and then I just started thinking, man, this is like really easy. And until I grappled with really good guys, Division I wrestlers, but I found out I wasn't good at all. And then, but jiu-jitsu was like real natural, real easy for me. I was big and I was athletic and really strong. Was not yet taking steroids, but shortly thereafter I discovered the wonderful world of testosterone replacement. It was, I had probably been training a total of probably 18 months when I fought Mark Hunt. Like if you put it all combined up where I wasn't hurt my back or whatever. And if we'd remained standing, he would have knocked me out probably about 3 seconds, if the fight had gone stand up because he was connecting with me already. But yeah, that was a great night, man.
What was that gym you went to where the guy, it was the funniest story because he's McCorkle's like such a wise ass, but like in a very understated way. So he goes to this like gym, and then the guy in charge is like, there's no way you could submit me. No one in the whole world's ever submitted me. And you kept submitting him like 5 times in a row, and the guy kept getting mad at you.
Yeah. And then another guy had his own school, but after class, he told him one of his uncles coming to his house to submit the teacher in front of his class. Yeah, it always made sense to me. Striking was the exact opposite. I could not pick up striking. I was terrible, boxing and kickboxing. So,
but you would say, like with Adam's story, if you are a bigger and stronger person and there's no leg lock game, it's kind of a wrap jiu-jitsu-wise for the most part because that's half the game of the leg lock game now. So if you're a stronger guy, I feel like it defeats the point of jiu-jitsu.
Football. and nothing goes better with football than turkey and betting. BetOnline has you covered all holiday season. More props, odds, and lines than ever before. Okay? BetOnline remains your number one spot for all the sports action this Thanksgiving. You got to head to their new updated desktop or mobile website to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus with promo code CLNS50 to receive your bonus. It's not just football, okay? BetOnline has pro and college hoops. They got NHL, they got boxing, UFC, even your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet all your favorite sports. BetOnline, we're stuffed with deals this Thanksgiving. All right, let's get back to the podcast. Got it. I got it. Okay, so last night in the submission grappling, also Clay Guida beat Billy Quarantillo, and his brother came and slapped him before the match again. Like Clay came.
The only blow his brother has landed in the last 20 years.
And then Carla Esparza went up against Danielle Kelly. You know Danielle Kelly, right?
Danielle Kelly?
Yeah.
The female? Yeah, she's in Austin.
Yeah, so she went up against Carla, and Carla, like, took her down, and it was pretty – I thought Carla was winning. She was on top, and then she picked her up and slammed her and then gashed her head. Carla was on top, gashed her own head. So Carla had a big cut. Danielle couldn't continue. And Danielle went around like she won the fucking gold medal. And I'm like, I don't know about this one. Like, if you win because someone else gets hurt, but they hurt slamming you and just went head to head, is that really a win? I mean,
was it a DQ?
No, she couldn't continue because Carla's, I guess, up next for the title shot and was like, "Fuck this! I'm not gonna, risk it."
Yeah,
All
that Danielle's really hot, so whatever she says, I agree with.
Really, that's it because she's hot. So
she's freaking. You know what I mean? One would say no, Danielle. She's a winner in my book.
Yes. Okay. Have you ever hooked up with a girl from jiu-jitsu class?
No, I want to. I think that'd be awesome.
What about you, Sean?
No, man, it's the only ones we ever had there. He just had private training with them. Like, they got private lessons every time. He wouldn't show us anything. He would just grapple with them the entire time because he couldn't even think about getting a girl other than that. So normally he would even like let you talk to him. He talked to her like, "Hey, leave her alone," whatever, like as if you were bullying her, but really just because he wanted to grapple with them.
So right now, my Wi-Fi is like kind of spotty. You're kind of dragging. I'm wondering if I go to the iPhone Wi-Fi, would that be better, you think?
I don't know, Adam. Maybe a cartel member, see what the best Wi-Fi is down there in Cabo.
Dude, I'm so bad with this, bro. Literally, I got a phone bill today for $550 for last month because I was talking on the cruise, and I thought I was like on the Wi-Fi like of them, and I wasn't. So now I'm just so fucking mad. Like, what a way to start the new year. Fucking $500, all right.
Yeah.
All right, so let's see. Is this better?
I mean,
you're not moving, but I can hear you.
All right, so you can hear me better, but you can't see better.
But you're frozen.
Right. All right, you think that's better? You think it's better to be frozen?
Central Park, all the quail out in Central Park. Like, really, who says quail?
I'm fucking sorry. It's like, do I pick? It keeps kicking me off when I do the one through the phone. The second time that happened, I got kicked off.
Well, you're good now, it seems.
I know. We got a fucking great thing. This guy Pat Downey we have on is like the bad boy of wrestling. He was like ranked. Dude, the dude's been kicked out of every single college he went to, high school. He was like Olympic team. He has an OnlyFans with his girlfriend. And
really?
And he's beaten so many like high quality wrestlers. Like, the dude's a fucking stud. But and then he just lost to Jake Shields in overtime in like a grappling match, which it went to like judge's decision. And he wrestled Gary Tonin. Not Gary Tonin.
Ryan, yeah.
Ryan, and he like teched him in 9 seconds in Greco wrestling. But then he lost, but he tapped out to a half Nelson, like a power half. I got to ask him about that. That was a little strange.
I read that too, and I was like, I can't exactly picture other than like he has his head pinned against the ground, and maybe he has neck problems.
That's what I thought, because it was when he stood up and he was like hanging on him. So it wasn't like he was like on it. He was like backpacking him, sort of, you know.
It was a neck crank.
Yeah, it was a neck crank, kind of. But then what's his name? Gordon Ryan kept wanting to go. He's like, that wasn't a submission. That wasn't a submission. Like, he's such a bully. So anyway,
that'd be a good.
Did you hear Betty White died? Is that true?
Really?
Yeah, I just read it.
Oh, that sucks. That sucks.
What die of COVID?
Dude,
Betty,
come on.
Whether she did or not, she did.
And really, like, come on.
I'm sorry. I was doing it for Sean. I want to be friends with him.
Dude, you guys have been. Meanwhile, Sean, after the Tyron Woodley match, right, or the fight, you posted you want Tyron Woodley to never fight again. Like, you were angry. You were angry. Did you bet on him again?
Yeah, and lost a fortune. Yeah, because, dude, I figured he's going to get a $500,000 knockout bonus. There's no way. He's already been as embarrassed as you can be, I thought. So I thought he would actually go out there and throw punches and win. And then seeing that stupidity, I was like, dude, I don't know that I can keep living the way I live if Tyron Woodley keeps fighting, because I've lost on him like the last 12 fights he's fought, man. Like, it's I don't know what's wrong with these certain guys. I just think, like, Tyron Woodley, I always think, dude, he'll come through this time, and he never does. Like, he never comes through.
Now, people are saying the fight was fixed. I don't think it was fixed. I just think that he's, I wouldn't say a shot fighter, but I don't. Well, first of all, there's weight classes for a reason. Jake Paul's about 220 pounds, 215. Tyron's about 180. Like, he should be about 185. You know, he fought at 170. He's a short guy. He's not a boxer. The other guy's been boxing 4 or 5 years straight. But at the same time, like, Tyron has the ability to beat him. What do you think it is?
If he would throw punches, he would win. Like, I honestly believe if he would throw anything, he would win. He doesn't hit as hard as Jake, but he's better technically. Like, Jake's just got the right hand. That's it. That's all he has, the right hand. But Tyron just, I've never seen anything like it. Like, a guy that would not fight once he's in there. I mean, you're talking $500,000 for a knockout bonus, if that's true, if he really was giving him that. I highly doubt they staged it and made it that boring up till the 6th round. You know what I mean? If you're going to stage something, you wouldn't want the crowd booing the whole time, you know, or whatever. Yeah. But that punch was as real as it gets. I mean, that was a nasty right hand. But I don't know, man. Some guys can't get out of their own way, man. Like, he would not throw punches and thinks the whole time he's winning. Like, you can tell in the corner he thinks he's winning. Like, what fight are you in?
So you're Tyron Woodley's corner. What do you tell him? You're Tyron's coach right now. What do you tell him?
During the fight, I would have walked out by the 3rd round, told him he's on his own. I really would have left. I'd been like, just forget it, dude. If you're not going to fight, I'm walking out this round. And then now I tell him the same thing. If you're going to fight, fight. If you're going to not fight, retire. But don't keep fighting, but not fighting. You know, like, not trying to win, not trying to throw punches, not trying to do anything.
I mean, how do you think he's looking in sparring, though? I mean, his coaches must feel like going there, he's ready, right? They're not going to put him up. I mean, they want to get paid, obviously, but
he might have a lot of yes men around him. That's always, possible too, man. Like, they just tell him what he wants to hear, and it doesn't last very long.
I have a theory too. Let hear my theory out. There's nothing in this weird circusy boxing world that prevents fixing fights. In real sanctioned fighting, like in sports, you can't bet against yourself. You can't bet for yourself. You can't have friends do it. They have rules and they monitor.
You can bet, no, that's not true. You're wrong on that one. You can
really?
You can bet on yourself if you're in the UFC.
Oh, really? Because in the NFL, when people did that, they got in trouble. But anyway, so, okay, fine, UFC. But, like, so what's to say, but there's no sanctions with this sport.
Oh, there is sanctions. This was a legitimate pro fight.
So I'm saying, is there anything that would have barred Tyron Woodley from betting $500,000 against himself, knowing that he would throw the fight? That anything to that?
Not if anybody, as long as nobody knew. But the only problem with that is Jake Paul was already a 3 or 4 to 1 favorite, so he'd have to bet $4 million to win $1 million, on himself. I'm betting on Jake Paul, so he would have to put up more money than he likely has.
Yeah.
Even if he puts $1 million on himself, he only gets $250 back. He would get more knocking him out and winning. So. If that was ever in there, I don't know. Sometimes I wonder if it's all fake, man. Like, I don't know, man.
With those
NDAs, how that stuff works.
To go along with your theory, though, they're saying Tyron said that Jake Paul won't get drug tested. In fact, like him and Dana White, he keeps calling Dana White a cokehead. Dana White is not on coke. He doesn't do drugs. Dana does not do drugs. I think he drinks, but that's the extent of like the stuff he puts in his body. So Dana said, all right, you can give me 50 random coke tests if I can give you 2 random steroid tests. So if there is a sanctioning, which they're saying, because he's saying, look, if I fix the fight, I'd be in jail for 100 years. People are betting. You can't do that, blah, 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 right? But then, so there's no, so then why is it not being drug tested? If it is, like, why is he allowed to evade drug tests?
Yeah.
Sean.
I don't get.
Well, there's certain jurisdictions, like I don't know if, I mean, I fought in Florida. They didn't test me for anything. Certain states, Indiana only tests if it's a championship fight. So if it's for a title, they test, otherwise they don't. So they told me, the Indiana Commission told me before I fought Mark Hunt in Indianapolis, there would be absolutely no drug test of any kind. And I was like, thank God. Because, I was taking HGH and testosterone at the time. So, so thankful they didn't do it. But a lot of them, they don't always tell you that, but you can look in through the rules, commission's rules, and they'll say, like, Nevada might get you anytime. If your license Nevada makes it come to your house now, and do it. But a lot of these states, they don't. Drug tests are really expensive, especially steroid tests and stuff like that. So,
meanwhile, so yesterday I was on a flight at it was pouring in LA, pouring, right? So I drove it was $150 for the Uber. I was like, fuck that. I'm not paying $150 for an Uber. I drove to the airport, parking B Delta was all full. Parking 3 all full. I had to go back to those dot parking one just to get over there, right? I get there, the flight's delayed 4 hours. I get to Cabo, I'm fucking exhausted. An hour to the hotel. I do the show. It was literally no lights, no this, no that. It was not a hell gig, but it was there. Then the owner's like, let's go out for a drink. All right, I'm in Cabo, I'll drink. I get back at 11:30 at night. I'm exhausted. I'm like, fuck, this guy, Pat Downey. I got to look up Kelly Pavlik because I want to have the respect for Kelly Pavlik. So watch 10 of his fights, learn about his life. An hour of Pat Downey, an hour and a half of all his matches, this and that. And now I told him 120. He's like, oh, let's do it, mate. He's not here. This is what fucking happens. These guys don't I fucking spent an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours out of my fucking life, researching this dude in Cabo. I redid my therapy appointment for 3 hours earlier to do this. I'm up. I could be enjoying the water, the ocean, the whole thing. No, I want to talk to, obviously I love you, Sean. I love you, Bill, but come on, man. Am I right?
I mean, you're not going to trust someone who's been arrested 15 times?
They might have shut off his phone if he went on a cruise and got a $600 bill he hadn't paid yet. It might be like, shit.
Dude, I'm so
no service for you.
Oh, and then I called fucking 611 Verizon, and then they make you I forgot my pass. They do a whole thing, and they're like, we'll call you back in 3 hours. I'm like, so then I spend, and then I'm going to argue with them how they told me I had international for $10 a day. Why is this, and then of course I'm going to get fucked on it. I know I'm going to get fucked.
The comics are the responsible one in the world of MMA and comics. We're the responsible ones.
Dude,
never in my life I've been the responsible one.
Dude, meanwhile, it was a funny story I wanted to tell, by the way. This girl did my show, Kate Kennedy. She's a porn star who was also a dominatrix. And she's 25 years old. She looks like she's 18. She said she wanted to comedy from porn because she wanted something more humiliating. And then she's on stage. She was ranked. She was nominated for Best Gangbang at the AVN, and she didn't win. But she puts it on her resume because it lets people know she's good with working with groups.
Yeah, she's a team player.
I was like, dude, that's pretty fucking funny. Dude, yeah. Meanwhile, the other day, I go on my friend BT's podcast, and I talked about how my wife was yelling at me because not yelling at me, but just saying how I was making lunch for the kid, but I didn't think she had enough, so I took lunch out of Thursdays, put it in Wednesdays, and then she didn't have enough for Wednesday. I was doing all this shit, and she says, I spent all this time, and I'm just thinking to myself, I used to fuck porn stars. I used to have girls do coke off my dick. I used to have threesomes. Now I'm getting yelled at for fucking taking lunch out of one. This is my life right now. And, which I'm happy. I'm thrilled. It's actually whatever, but let's just say for comic purposes. And then of course she listens to that podcast and all the podcasts. She goes, really? You used to fucking all the things and people tell me that I make marriage sound terrible. Look, I'm fucking thrilled. I got the greatest baby and I got an amazing, greatest wife. I'm fucking happy. I am happy. But nothing's funny if I just go, I'm happy. Okay, so I find the most shittiest fucking part of things and make them funny. That's what I do. So people in the comment section that are like, I don't want to get married now, and they have a whole fucking thing about men aren't supposed to, find one person, and a whole philosophy debate. I get it, okay? Some people can do open marriages. I can't. Sean, you?
Nah, man, it's I was married. I got married at 19. And I was married for 13 hellacious years. So I was kind of soured on the whole thing. But I would marry my girlfriend now, Robin. So I will end up marrying her one day because she really is one in a million, man. So.
By the way, my wife heard you say, Sean, that after marriage counseling, couples therapy, your couples therapist said to you, I don't know how you stayed in for this long. That woman was crazy. And my wife my wife's like, there's no chance in the fucking hell the couples therapist told you that.
She's actually the mom of a local news girl here. Her name is Donna Ganote. She met with me and my ex-wife for an hour and said, I just need to see you tomorrow for 10 minutes. I said, I'm done with you guys. And I was like, holy shit. I came up there as God is my witness. It's just a Christian woman. She said, what the hell are you doing married to this woman? Like, that's what she said to me. I was 28 at the time. She goes, you're young, you've got money, you're good looking. She is a nightmare. She goes, I've been doing this 40 years. I don't know that I've ever seen one quite like her. She goes, why would you stay married to somebody like that? And I was like, I love my kids or whatever. She goes, you'd be doing them a favor getting rid of them, because my kids at the time were 5 and 2 and we were getting ready to get divorced, it looked like. And she said, your son, who's 2, won't even remember it. Your daughter won't remember much. It's going to happen eventually. She said, so you might as well get it done now while you still have money. She said she will divorce you once all your money's gone, once she spends it all and has you, by the balls every way. And I'll be damned. She said, within 5 years, you won't be married anymore. She was right. 4.5 years later, I found out my ex had been planning my divorce for 4 years. So,
well, that's good. You listen to your therapist.
Right. Yeah. It was, I didn't listen. I told her I can't do it. She goes, you're going to be so sorry. I actually called her and apologized to her 5 years later and said, I wish I would have listened to you. I'm sorry. She said there's certain people in the world who are unhappy no matter what. And she's decided that I'm the problem. She said, like before it was, if we just had money, if we just this, if I could just get married, if I could just get a house. She said, once you guys had everything, I was retired at 28 years old and she never worked. That's when we started having a lot of problems, And she said now that she has everything she could want, she goes on vacation 8 times a year. Now the other thing what must be making her unhappy is you, or whatever. So, and I'll be damned, man. She was like Nostradamus. It was amazing. 4.5 years later, we were divorced.
Wow.
And my money was gone. Every dime gone.
Damn.
Even the $250,000 I had in a safety deposit box that I never even told her about, she found the key on my key ring, went to banks in the area, told them I had died, and she needed my safety deposit box. So yeah, when I realized she hadn't paid the rent payments or the mortgage payments on my 10 rental homes that I had $600,000 equity in, she hadn't paid them for 6 months and they're all being foreclosed on. I was like, dude, I got to do something. I'm going to get my cash out and get this squared away. And then I went, my cash was on. So,
yeah.
Which that was not long after I took her to Dr. Ray from Dr. 90210 in Beverly Hills to get her $20,000 breast implants in 2004 or something. Like that's like paying 40 now, So
yeah,
it was something else, man. I could go on all day.
Do you even keep tabs on her?
Man, she tried to ruin my life I have 2 kids with her. So she tried to ruin my life for about 7 or 8 years after we split up, did her best because I got in the UFC after we split up. So she had me basically bankrupted me. A year later, I was a little bit famous in the UFC and dating 22-year-old girls, and she was not a fan. So she's tried everything in the world to ruin my life for the past several years. Kind of started leaving me alone a year or 2 ago. And then my daughter just got married a few months back, had the balls to thank me for being nice at the wedding. Thanks for finally being nice. I was like, wait, what? You're not the one who.
Oh, there we go. Dude, one of my favorite stories is like he like goes to court and she reads the text and the text talk about how big.
That was amazing. That was awesome.
And the judge and the lawyer has to read, just because you have a big cock doesn't mean it was one of the funniest things.
Yeah, they told me. I can give you the quick version unless you got somebody waiting to come on. Have you got somebody?
Real quick, we got Pat Downey, the bad boy of wrestling. One of the.
I can tell later.
What a real badass. You got COVID? Are you okay, man?
Nah, man. Debunked it. Easy money. I just got this shit working. I had to access the Zoom app and hit the buttons. I don't know how to do much except wrestle and shit.
No, man. You know how to do a lot, dude. I was researching you last night. Holy shit, are you a good wrestler, man? Let's just go through the thing. You were a 3-time state champ in high school in Maryland.
Yeah, man. Yeah. They didn't even let me wrestle my senior year. So they've always been canceling me from this wrestling shit. They don't like that I can do it.
Well, a couple. Well, number one, they didn't cancel you. You were on trial, right? For
That's a form of canceling.
Well, it said you were on trial for first-degree assault after Baltimore.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
Cancel, felony, tomato, you know.
You beat up a Towson University student in a parking lot. You broke his jaw, all 4 of his teeth. And then second-degree assault, 2 people at brawling with 2 Navy football players at a nightclub.
By the way, just time quick. If you're in high school, you have college kids, that's fucking pimp. I would have been high school.
Dude, I'm not even 18. These guys are all grown men. I'm outnumbered. They're picking fights with the wrong one, and I give them what they got coming, and I get in trouble for it. Not only do I not get second degree, they charge me as an adult with first-degree assaults for fistfights. It was nuts. I had like 3 different fucking felony cases hanging over my head, let alone wrestling. I was like, fuck wrestling and football. I'm just trying to get my life back. So, like, when I go through this shit nowadays, I'm like, y'all don't even understand what I've been through back home in Baltimore.
Dude, in football, you set the school record for total offense. In one game, you had 420 yards.
420, baby. Because you know I smoke.
With 315 yards passing and 105 yards rushing as the quarterback. Were you recruited for any D1 colleges in football?
Yeah, dog. I was going to Old Dominion, D1 AA, a lot of like smaller schools, no big time shit like with wrestling. You know what I mean? Not at that level. But I was in like the Super 22 Crab Bowl team. You know, that's the best players on both sides of the ball. The halftime show with the Ravens, Pittsburgh Steelers, you know what I mean? The competition there. I had a bunch of great football opportunities. My father, we were, you know, I mean, I grew up football playing, fighting, judo, jiu-jitsu, wrestling was just something that kind of got me in high school because we was like, let's do what we can do at the highest level. And then I had the opportunity to go to 2012 Olympic team and Olympic Training Center. So we were like, that was the highest level, was the wrestling opportunity. So that's why I did that.
Dude, I mean, I watched your match against Usman. You had a wrestling match against Usman. You were a year out of high school.
I was like 18 or 19, dude. I was 19. I had to beat him with the new rule set too. But yeah, we need to run that back.
Well, you hit him with a fucking 5-point throw. I mean, a crazy lateral, but you only got 3 points for it, right?
That's what I'm telling you. The rules are all fucked up. They change them every damn near 4 years. So, like, you know, under this rule set, I'd have got them. And I will admit it's a little more advantageous for me because I like the big moves, and they will kind of they'll supersede in criteria. The 4-point move will beat Usman's 4 push-outs because they're all ones. You know what I mean? So my 4-point throw would take precedent over his scores if we're really getting fucking like semantical and shit.
I don't like the push-outs. I feel like it's like fucking sumo wrestling, but I understand it. So people don't keep fleeing the mat, but it's kind of weird. The guy could just push you out of bounds and they get to point.
I love it though because like I feel like original wrestling was like, you know, Greco on concrete. If you get taken down or pushed off the cliff, you're dead. Like you got to stay in. Like you know what I mean? It's like some Mortal Kombat shit at the root of it.
Yeah, you know, I hear you, but like that match against Burroughs, if it was before the rule change, you would have beaten him 4-0. So I'm like I see it too because like a lot of times people can't finish on me. That's their only tactic. You know what I mean? If you watch me even at the highest levels, I don't get taken down often. So that's a big you know, it's a strategy thing too, and that's something on my end where I got to be able to defend my legs a little better. I'm too comfortable kind of giving on my legs and letting those wrestling positions hit because I still feel like, you know, fucking Dan Gable shit. He shoots, I score. I shoot, I score. I still think I should win those positions. You know what I mean? Right. And then Jordan Burroughs loves you. Burroughs takes you under his wing, takes you to the Olympic Training Center. What was that like?
Bro, JB, not many people know. He was the one who recruited me to Nebraska. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we were wrestling one day, and I ended up being the only junior world medalist, but we were wrestling at one of these national team camps, and I mean, I'm sure he got me probably with the push-outs, though, because I just feed him a single leg, and we got a hell of a dog fight. And he was like, who's this kid? And got me into motherfucking Nebraska, basically.
But then you get there, and they love you over there. And then Kevin Jackson, who's the coach, kicks you off the team your junior year when you were 7-0.
Well, that's a different college. That's a different college.
Okay, all right.
Nebraska was my freshman year. Then I got kicked out of there, broke my hand fighting and shit. Couldn't fucking stay off the weed. Got kicked out. Went to Iowa Central. Won that shit. If Iowa Central would have been a 4-year, I'd have never went to Iowa State. I loved Iowa Central, but shout out to Luke.
What are you saying, Bill?
Oh, he's right.
They kicked out Kevin Jackson. I All-American for him my sophomore year. After fucking taking 24 credits to graduate from Iowa Central, I got eligible at Iowa State. I came in after the Midlands around this time, a few years ago. And then I All-American. And then the next season, he got kicked out. And then the fucking Paulsons and Escobedo took over. And they had a hard on for me because I had a rib injury and I wasn't doing the rehab shit. I thought it was all bullshit. I'm like, none of this fucking shit matters till the championship season anyway. I came into Big 12s as a pigtail. You know what I mean? I barely qualified for the conference tournament, and then I end up All-American. So that shit doesn't really matter until you're in March anyway. But they had other plans. They just kicked me off the team. I didn't even get to wrestle.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, you went to the NCAA's not seeded and took 5th. That, I don't know if you know this, Bill or Sean, that's not heard of. People
Up a weight class. I cut down and certified for 84. The Big 12 tournament, they bumped me up to 97. The year before at Iowa Central, I was weighing 205, making 97. Now I'm going into NCAA's a fucking buck 92, dripping wet. I was so undersized there, man.
So then they kick you off the team. And what I like about you, man, Pat, is that you don't take no for an answer. These guys, they kick you off. They're like, he's done. He's garbage. He's out. You're like, fuck that. So you go to Princeton. You wrestle on your own. You get your own team, kind of. You come back, and you win the Pan Am Games.
Yeah. I fucking went on a run, too. With me and Reese Humphrey still have never lost in America.
I mean, that's insane.
And I gotta say this, Pat. You know what? It seems like you don't have an Uncle Ben in your life, because you're like a superhero. You're like Spider-Man, and no one ever told you, "Hey, with great power comes great responsibility." When you were 14 years old, and you need to hear that. Instead, you had the ring of power, so you were fucking up dudes, and you were like, I mean, I get it, but goddamn, man, you're like a freak, natural beast athlete. Do you ever look back and go, maybe I should have done this differently?
Yeah, man. I first got recruited by fucking Penn State. I always think, imagine if I was wrestling with Cale Sanderson underneath him with that room, Ed Roos and Quinn Wrights and David Taylor, Nichols, and now the younger generations. You know what I mean? Aaron Brooks is like, imagine if I'd have been a part of that, just with a couple different decisions. I didn't really have to throw that left jab all the time. Like, I didn't. Yeah, it'll eat you up if you let it. I mean, dude, college career, butchered that. Come back, like Adam's just saying, and I fucking do the Mac Daddy shit, make Teach USA, get the next best thing. And then I still have managed to fuck that up, too. So it's like, I gotta figure a way out to get what I want and then keep it.
Yeah, you kind of are your own worst enemy, but I mean, it's cool watching you kind of fail up in a lot of ways, man. Now you've been tech falling some of these jiu-jitsu guys. Like, you went up against Nick Rodriguez, who, Bill, I guess is a big deal in jiu-jitsu.
Nicky Ryan?
Yeah.
And more importantly, Gordon Ryan you went up against, which is like, he's kind of my hero. in a weird way.
Well, in all due respect, Nicky Rod put up a way better fight than Gordon Ryan did on the wrestling
really?
mat. I mean, Jesus.
Well, Gordon never wrestled at all, I don't think.
No, yeah, it's completely different sports, man. I'm not gonna beat Gordon in jiu-jitsu, just as Gordon's not gonna beat me in fucking wrestling. But I'll tell you what, it'll be a whole lot more competitive. And I grew up fighting in fucking Baltimore. You don't see people sitting on their ass. You get kicked in the face, you get jumped, you get the whole concept. Stay on your feet, slam mugs on concrete, and keep him. You're outnumbered. They got weapons. Like, that shit's not real survival to me. So I'm still learning that whole sport. It's a fucking sport.
Yeah, the Gordon Ryan grappling match, I thought it was pretty even. And then he got your back, and it was like it says you tapped to a 3/4 Nelson on the internet. But like, was your shoulder fucked up? Is that what happened?
Dude, that night I couldn't even walk down to get ice. It was my ankle that originally got popped. He did some sneaky shit. If you watch the transition in the scramble where he's sitting on his back and rolls through, like, I don't know if I got bad ankles because the same shit happened to me in the ADCCs, and the same shit happened to me against the dude Pedro with like these knee bar ankle lock shit. And I was a month out from the Olympic trials. So like, he'll get on there and say, I didn't tap to a real move. Well, I'm a fucking white belt, and I feel like my ankle's breaking or my shoulder's sublexing in and out, and I got the Olympic trials in a month. I might not be tapping to a real move, but that shit's scary to me. And that shit, I'm not going to go out here, and the whole time my grandfather and my father are in my ear like, you fucking idiot, what are you doing taking this a month before the Olympic trials? I'm like, well, we got fucking 10 on the line, so let me just go make this money. And they're like thinking big picture. That's pennies compared to what happens if you win the Olympics. And then the COVID shit hit. But honestly, the irony of it all is my ankle was fucked up. My shoulder was fucked up. I healed like an alien 2 days later, and I fucking break my coccyx trying to dunk the ball at strength and conditioning, playing cardio at practice the next day. So thank God for COVID, because I'd have been fucking shit at the Olympic trials if they'd have stayed on time. Because I messed my lower back up 2 days later, after the Gordon match.
Fuck. Well, I mean, the Gordon wrestling match was crazy. I mean, you just launching them left and right. And same with Nicky. Now, I watched a match with you last night against Jake Shields, and it went into, I guess it was judges' criteria.
They fucked that match too. They just didn't want white belt beating their fucking favorite. They fucked me. But I love Jake. Him and Nate Diaz didn't even want to win the way they was winning. They was on my side too. We were talking. It was like the longest match of the fucking thing.
But like you said, you're a white belt competing against Jake Shields and Gordon Ryan. Do you even know any submissions or anything, or have you how much have you done?
Shit, like, I'm learning the game. I'm mostly learning on how to not get submitted. You know what I mean? All the tricks to avoid them leg lock shits, and you don't really see me get triangled or arm barred and shit like that. Choked, I really don't get choked. It's the leg attacks that I'm just having a problem.
Yeah.
But as far as attacking, I mean, I got a bunch of cool chokes, but these guys are real high level, man. So I haven't really been able to show.
Right. Well, I mean, it's fun to watch, man. I mean, you're hanging in there with these fucking animals and putting up not only a fight, but like winning against a lot of these guys. Are you going to when's your first MMA fight?
I don't have anything dated yet, but definitely fighting in 2022, and really big news coming soon that not at liberty to release yet until the bosses release it. But it's already signed, still delivered. I'm just waiting on an opponent and a date, and you guys will know very soon.
Have you been training with Colby Covington?
No, I haven't trained with Colby since him and the American Top Team guys brought me down. And that was another thing. The whole COVID shit hit, kind of, put my plan on hold with coming down there. And once I finally did get done, I had that lingering back issue. So I wasn't even able to train when I first moved to Florida. And then was at Sanford MMA for a while, preparing for the Olympic trials and just getting skills there. They got a great gym with I would love to continue my way.
Yeah, absolutely. And then
goat show in Miami.
And then finally, Pat, because we got Kelly Pavlik here, the former world champion, one of the greatest boxers of all time. Pat, this OnlyFans, who's this hot girl? What's going on here? There's always you and this sexy girl, and you put OnlyFans. But what's going on here? And how do I get involved without getting my wife mad at me?
Yeah, I want to hear it too.
Hey, what's up, man? I don't know if you can keep the missus happy with this one, but in all honesty, it's just a little clickbait. Keep them guessing, and it's really not too that bad. My girlfriend gets mad at me, my mother and my sister think I'm crazy, but I'm like, guys, I'm just fucking playing with the internet. You know what I'm saying? I'm just having fun. Like, I don't really take it all seriously. You might see me smoking a blunt or like playing with my dog or like fucking, maybe putting it in her ass. Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah, I was about to say, he's tricking us. He's tricking us to click on it and subscribe. Girlfriend.
Listen, Pat Downey, man, I'm a big fan. Keep it up, man. So happy you're doing well. I can't wait. You're going to be the champion, man.
You are.
Every time someone says no to you, you say, fuck it, and you do better. So I love it, man. So.
It makes me want it that much.
God damn it, Pat.
Sounds so bad. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Kelly, the Ghost Pavlik, how are you, man?
Doing good. How you doing?
Good, man. I'm the biggest dude. I remember watching you, dude. Your victory over Jermaine Taylor, the two of them. I was going crazy because you were a big underdog for that fight. A lot of people people were not giving you a chance, and you knocked him out after getting rocked. You got rocked in the second, like he was chasing you around the ring, and then you said, "Nope, not going to happen," and beat him twice. Was that one of the highlights of your life?
Yeah, I mean, being a world title fight, obviously it's hard to go against that. I mean, the only thing that competes with that is probably, the to Ohio State the night before the Michigan game, which is, probably one of the biggest rivalries in sports. Though even before that fight, I was underdog going against Edison Miranda, who at the time, Miranda was like, the boogeyman of the middleweight division and in boxing. And, nobody gave me a chance in that fight. Not only did I beat him, but I stopped him and knocked him out. And then kind of the same thing with Jermaine Taylor. We went there and knocked him out and then beat him in the rematch, which was pretty big too, because, a lot of people said that I couldn't beat Jermaine Taylor if I didn't knock him out. So beating him by a 12-round decision in the second fight was pretty big. But, it was kind of my role a little bit. I was kind of the underdog in all the big fights.
Now, the Miranda fight was crazy because he was knocking everybody out, and you went punch for punch with him. Was your corner saying, "What are you doing? Are you out of your mind?"
Yeah, well, a lot of people thought that, but no, that was actually. I mean, if you go back and think about it, sometimes I go like, "What the fuck was you thinking, man?" But that was our game plan for that fight. The game plan was Miranda wasn't that good, fighting backwards or going on the back foot. Not that a lot of people are, but Miranda was kind of like really dangerous when he was able to set up and throw those looping overhand rights and left hooks. And, our thing was to go in there kind of like you knew you were going into battle, you were putting your vest on, you knew you were going to take some shots. And that was kind of the game plan for that fight was, let's see if we could take his, but let's see if he could take ours, And we knew we were in great shape. I knew I was in great shape, and I knew I could punch and this whole thing behind that fight. And it came out to show who was the bigger puncher and better fighter.
Now, were you a guy that had when you walk into a boxing gym, were people are like, man, this guy's got talent? Or were you one of the dudes that showed up early, left late, and just outworked everybody?
A little bit of both. The talent was there, obviously. You have to have talent. When you make it to that level, you have to have some form of talent, pretty good. X's and O's and training will only get you so far, training hard. But I trained my ass off too, though. I was a 7-8 hour a day, type guy. It was funny when I started off early in my career. I was a sight to see. You know, I looked like a rat. I had long hair, had big ass feet, skinny as shit. Looked like I was riding a chicken. You know, it was just horrible. But as I started getting older, you know, and I didn't have power, but when I started hitting like 15, 16 years old, overnight, that power, I don't know if it was maturity or what it was, but everything started coming along. And I actually started like dropping people in fights and sparring sessions, and the power came along. But yeah, you know, it was a little bit of both. You know, you have to have talent. I tell everybody to this day, I train people. I'm brutally honest when it comes to boxing. You know, if I don't think that you're going to be able to make it, I'll let you know what I think your career is going to be. But hard work does pay off. It truly does. But you have to have talent to go along with it.
Yeah.
I have a question for you, Kelly. Go ahead, Adam.
Go ahead first. What were we saying, Bill?
I mean, I'm kind of cutting to the end here, so I want to do that right away because I'm so curious about. You're just one of the few fighters that like retired as young as you did, because you were fairly young in the boxing world to retire after winning as much as you did, and you just said like you kind of either lost the heart for it or you never really had the heart for it. What do you think was? Did you like go to Hawaii and do mushrooms and have a new perspective on life, or was it something else? Like, what was the thing? Because I feel like I've never read exactly. Was it a change, or you always felt that way?
Felt that way. It's actually a great question, and just recently, after being retired a decade, I feel like I could explain my side of it where I don't get shit. You know, I kind of hope like nobody cares anymore, everybody forgets. But the realistic part of it is when I went to boxing, especially when I turned pro. I've been with my wife now 21 years, and I promised her, especially when I had my kid in 2006, that boxing is not a longevity sport. You know what I mean? It's one of them things that I've seen people around that were in the sport. Youngstown's produced many champions, and I've seen those guys, and I was around them, and I did not want to be like that. And the scary thing with boxing is 5-10 years from now, who knows, what I could gain or, what could happen from the boxing that I did. So I never wanted to be in the sport a long time. But the funny part about what you're asking is, to most people, even people that follow my career but really weren't there, they all think I turned pro in 2007. Like when I won the world title, that's like where my career started. I was actually pro almost over 12 years and had 42 pro fights. That's a lot. That's a long time. That's not including, starting at 9 years old and going up through the amateur ranks through national, regional, and state championships and everything else. Yeah, man, by the time I got to that point, I had 42 fights. There was a lot of things at the end of the career that came into play. I moved up to super middleweight. And at that time, when I moved to super middleweight, you had the Super 6 tournament going on. There was no meaningful fight out there. I went out to California. I trained with Robert Garcia. It was probably one of the better moves I ever made in my life. It was great. But at the same time, I'm fighting guys like Aaron Jocko, Roel Rosinski, and Scott Sigmund. And, there was no big fights to be made. So usually when a fighter up and leaves his home, and goes away to training camp, everything else, that's usually at the beginning of the career where he has no kids, no wife, no money's coming in. For me, I had 3 world title belts. I made the money. And then you're telling me that I have to go all the way across the country for months at a time, to train. It kind of zapped a little bit. And then the big kicker, the icing on the cake was we were supposed to fight Andre Ward. And Andre Ward ended up having that shoulder injury, and he had surgery, and he was out. Like I said, the Super 6 tournament was going on. There was no big fights out there. There wasn't even a meaningful fight out there at the time for me. So at that point, I was done. I didn't have the heart. And in this sport, if you don't have it all there in the heart, it's a bad hobby to have. It really is. So
you were 40.
That was
you were 40 and 2, and that's like, and the 2 guys you lost to, Bernard Hopkins.
Jesus.
Yeah, and then the other fight you lost to what's his name?
Sergio Martinez. So I mean, look at it this way: Floyd Mayweather turned pro 5 or 6 years before I did, and fought 5 years after I did, and only had 8 more fights to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that goes to show you how active I was. I had a busy career.
You had wars, man. I mean, the first time, so you're 26-0, And your first fight, you got dropped, okay, against Zuniga. You got dropped pretty early in that fight. What's going through your head?
True, man. Like I told Larry Merchant in the Jermaine Taylor fight, oh shit, this is going to be a long night. You know what I mean? First round, second round, when you get dropped, boy, that sets the tone for the entire fight, man. Now, Adam, you're a big fight fan and a fight guy. When you get dropped, I mean that it's amazing how fast the fucking brain signal shut off to your through your head. A lot goes through there. And Zuniga was the guy when I fought him. Nobody wanted to fight him. He was signed by Top Rank, so obviously, if you're signed by a promotional company, you could fight. He was 17-1 with 16 knockouts, straight out of Colombia. All them Colombians can hit, and I don't care what anybody says, but certain regions of the world, you know that when you're going against them, that them guys can hit. And my big thing was, again, if I could get past that first round, just like with Taylor, if I could get past it and get my bearing straight, I would be fine, because my thing was, can they deal with my punch output? Can they deal with my power? And that's the big part of a fight, and a lot of guys couldn't do that.
No, almost every single guy, which is crazy because, like Mayweather, I love watching Mayweather, but he almost never gets hit. You got hit a lot. You just kept they couldn't put you away. I mean,
I picked off a lot too, though. I kept my hands high. I looked like I was getting hit. Believe me. I mean, I don't know if I could talk. Not saying I talk good right now, but I don't know if I would talk as good if I got hit that much. But
no disrespect. I'm just saying that you were dropped and came back, which was like, to me, made your fights that much more exciting. If I was your coach, I'd have a heart attack. Or if I was your wife or your kid or anyone that loved you, I'd be like,
oh, I agree. But, I think that was a big part why they took to me so much in Atlantic City. Besides the fact that I was only a 6-hour drive and a lot of the Youngstown people came to Kentucky and we had a big following. But Arturo Gotti, when he was fighting, that was Atlantic City, and Arturo Gotti was the big place. And Arturo Gotti's fighting style was really big. And I think people kind of took to that with me because of the first Taylor fight, the guts of glory, get up off the canvas and show everybody that I'm the champion. I think that was the reason why. And you know what? It kind of did. I mean, I was kind of busting your balls a little bit on that, but that was my career. My career was people expected me to come in there, take punches and deliver punches and weather the storm, every fight. So
now the Hopkins fight, you went up 2 weight classes, and I watched you on Rogan last night, and I didn't realize you sparred 4 rounds before fighting Bernard Hopkins.
Yeah, Adam, being in entertainment business and how it goes, man. It's you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. And whatever you say, people will take that shit and they will twist it however they want. It's been like I said, over a decade since I retired, or going on a decade. I said things about that fight, even the Martinez fight. And I think now I can say it because I got nothing to gain from it. I'm retired. I'm never going back to boxing. When I fought Hopkins, that was not an 80% Kelly Pavlik.
Yeah.
But not taking anything away from Bernard Hopkins. Obviously, he's great. He's an all-time great, and he took full advantage of the opportunity that he had, and it is what it is. A lot of people say, like, oh, Kelly was never the same after that fight. That's kind of horseshit. I came back and fought Marco Antonio Rubio, who ended up winning a world title after I beat him, and I destroyed him. It wasn't even a close fight. But, when I fought Hopkins, the only thing I could say about that was, I was not at 80%. The elbow injury, that could have been the best thing. There was a guy by the name of Thomas Hauser. Thomas Hauser is a huge writer for combat sports, and Thomas Hauser is a call it how he sees it type guy. He don't bullshit. He don't sugarcoat. And Thomas Hauser was in the locker room for that fight. And he kept a journal, and he would just sit in the corner and be quiet and look down. That was going on, and the guy from the commission came in and they asked, they wanted to check the medication that I was on. They took my temperature and I was at 101, and there was a little debate in the corner or in the locker room about the fight happening, to be honest with you. And so I had a severe case of bronchitis, but I don't bring it up because the only thing it does, I tell all these young kids, if something's wrong with you and you're going into a fight, don't mention it. Because you will take more shit if you bring it up. Everybody say, oh, you're making excuses, you're lying. But, for me now, I don't give a fuck. It is what it is. But I could tell you that was not 80%. Did I learn anything from the fight? Not really. If there was anything that I took from the fight was I learned a little bit of the sneaky tricks that Bernard has. I knew going into the fight, because I've always been a student of the game, I knew the tricks that Bernard does, and to this day I still teach some of the younger guys some of the things that Bernard does because he's that good, But honestly, I think if I was 80%, 90% that night, you're looking at a totally different fight.
I also think you're fighting a guy like Bernard Hopkins, who's such an awkward fighter. So in order to actually fight a guy like that, you have to bring in a guy who's going to replicate what he's going to do for 30, 40, 50, 60 rounds. If you spar 4 rounds against that guy, you're seeing everything for the first time. I would assume that, and that's not going to help you.
Well, making no excuse on that part, and you could be right, but no, I won't use that as an excuse because I had fights with Jermaine Taylor, who fought Bernard Hopkins twice and beat him. Controversial or not, obviously they were close fights. So I had the experience. Some of the things that Bernard did, like I say, his footwork. Everybody thinks of footwork in boxing or UFC. They think of flashy like Bernard Whitaker, and it's not. Bernard Hopkins, in my opinion, has some of the best footwork anybody will ever have because he makes the right steps at the right time. Kind of like, besides this year, Ben Roethlisberger. That was a big, fat, slow man. But every time he stood in the pocket, he made that step up and it never got sacked because his awareness and everything was on point. Bernard Hopkins, he did big things, but again, take the Jermaine Taylor fight. Like, I know you can't use certain fights as a measuring stick, but when I beat Jermaine Taylor twice and convincingly knocked him out and beat him in the second fight, and then to go and get my ass whooped by Hopkins, that's not even using a measuring stick. There's something right there has to tell the average person, like, well, something had to be off.
Yeah.
Not saying that I should have went there and beat Bernard Hopkins because style makes fights, but I should have never got my ass whooped like I did. You know what I mean?
I don't think it didn't seem like you really took a pounding that night. It seemed like an old veteran beat a young kid using a lot of slick moves.
That's why I got my ass whooped.
You didn't get knocked out. You didn't get fucking. No. Now, Jermaine Taylor has had a lot of problems with the law, shooting people. I don't know. Last I heard, he was like just a really rough. Have you reached out to him? Have you talked to him or?
No, boxing is the unfortunate thing about boxing is unless you've had some wars with certain people and you're at like certain events, boxing ain't like football. It's not like baseball. A lot of them guys from the past years of going to like Hall of Fame things or like the ESPY awards, they're all like family though. They all play against each other and they're rivals, but they're also very close-knit, it's a close-knit community. Boxing, unfortunately, like they say, it's the loneliest sport in the world. It's a lonely man's sport. And you don't stay in touch with certain people that you want to, unless it's a big event or something going on. And kind of the same with me and Jermaine Taylor. We respected each other. I had a lot of respect for him after the fight, but there's nothing that keeps us together. And
I think it's because boxers can't golf. If boxers could golf, I think they'd have more of a community. I think that's what keeps everyone else together in every other sport.
I think you're right. I think they should start doing like golf outings and shit like that, and bringing the boxers together. But it's very true. I mean, besides a handful, like Tommy Hearns and I've seen Tommy Hearns at the International Boxing Hall of Fame. Him and Hagler, they talk, they laugh with each other, but I don't think them guys call each other on a Friday night and go out. You know what I mean? So it's a big difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard. And you would think after all the shit that you guys share in the ring, a lot, especially big fights, like, Arturo Gatti and Mickey Ward is a exception to the sport. It really is. Like, that's a once-in-a-lifetime thing. But they share it a lot, and I think it would be cool if, more boxers did that, after everything that we put out there. But, so with Jermaine Taylor, like, there was nothing. I see, I don't know what happened with something like that. I do believe in I'm a big fan of the mental awareness. Boxers take shit. We get hit in the head. Football, they're big with the concussions. But see, the thing in boxing is it's kind of obvious, so nobody pays attention. Like, you get fucked up, you get your brain rattled. Okay, yeah, you probably have a concussion. You're used to it. Go home. Sparring, is a big problem. I've seen more people get dropped and knocked out in sparring than I have in fights.
Wow.
And usually a manager or a trainer is worried about jeopardizing the fight, so they won't mention it. They won't mention it to commission. And you see a lot of these guys going with a little small bleed on the brain or concussions, and that's where like a lot of the fatalities come into play. Boxing is a fucked up business, man. UFC, brutal. Don't get me wrong. MMA, mixed martial arts, is fucking brutal. You guys are getting kneed, kicked, elbowed. But when you watch a fight, a guy gets dropped, they automatically stop it. And they have to, right? Yeah. Or you got, if there's 5 minutes in a round, 3 of them 5 minutes may be on the ground wrestling, positioning for a move. As we're in boxing, you get your brain rattled and scrambled in the first round. Guess what? If you get up in under 10 seconds and the referee feels you're okay, you may get dropped 3 or 4 times in a fight and go 36 minutes of getting punched in the head. And that's where the damage comes into play. So it's a brutal fucking sport.
Yeah. Now, people were worried about you. Obviously, you had issues with alcohol, but you've overcome them, which is amazing. Did that happen after the Hopkins fight? Was that you started drinking or before, or was that always an issue?
No, Adam. So I'm going to be dead honest with you. The drinking was fun, young, dumb, and having fucking fun, right? Do I think that some of it was overdone by me? Fuck yeah, absolutely. But the thing is, Youngstown's a small area. And if you really go back and think about it, I say this all the time with people, you follow my career, but what did I ever get in trouble for?
It says you got in trouble for beating up someone at a Foo Fighters concert.
That was a my buddy.
And then
a four-wheeler?
Yeah, and then it said a pellet. You hit someone with a pellet? A pellet
yeah.
gun?
Yeah, a 42-year-old derelict at my house that we were playing around.
And then, that was it. And then you were, someone was digging a lake and you hit him with a pellet gun?
Yeah.
So that wasn't it. It's Foo Fighters and pellet.
That was at my house, and he was over, and I was taking care of him, his kids, and I fed him for a week, and it was all fun, but it was a money grab. And I'll add another one today. I got in trouble before with a four-wheeler.
Oh, God.
Hitting a lamppost. So, again, I'm not defending, I can admit to it. Did I take the drinking and having fun overboard? Fuck yeah, man. We know how it is. You start getting up there and you're put around that shit. But as far as like how it amazes me. I see a lot of these guys, a lot of fighters. I'll mention Adrian Broner. I mean, that guy grabbed the chick by the crotch in the mall, and these guys turned back around and they got commentating gigs on Showtime, and I'm going, man, I was the devil for hitting a lamppost with a four-wheeler, shooting a buddy with a BB gun, and so there was. But the Hopkins fight had nothing to do with it. Like I said, a lot of people said that fight ruined me, but again, I went on to beat Rubio, who had a good career after.
Yeah.
And I stayed active. There's just a lot of things. Some of it, I wish I go back? Yeah, because bad ink. Any ink that is bad is not good.
Boy, Kelly,
Kelly, with all due respect, nobody thinks that you're ruined for the Hopkins fight, and no one thinks that you're like a troublemaker. I was just, these things came out.
Good. I was gonna come over and get you in trouble tonight, but I'm not.
No, absolutely not. I don't know. The Foo Fighters
are pretty innocent. Those are pretty innocent. But I got to ask, the pellet thing, it was a misdemeanor, and then you went to trial, and it became a felony. Usually the opposite happens. Usually things get downgraded. How did you get upgraded at court? What came out?
Can I tell you the full story? You guys will be actually one of the first people to have the full story to this. I mentioned a little bit on Joe Rogan, and then I seen in the comments a lot of people called me a rat, a snake, and I got a lot of shit for it. Can I tell you guys the full story to that one?
Yes, please tell us. Yeah.
Do you have the time for it?
I got time. All
right. So because of the drinking, it was in between fights. Or after I was retired. Never mind. Fuck that. I'm thinking of someone. So I was thinking of four-wheeler. So it was after I retired, and I was sitting in my backyard and have a couple of beers, and I was like, I feel like putting a lake in, because I came from the city, and I went out and I go fishing once in a while, and I had 2.5 acres. I was like, let me just put a big fucking pond in here, and we can stock it. So The kid that I shot goes, listen, I work for an excavating company. He goes, I can get us a deal. We could rent an excavator and 2 Bobcats for like $6,000 for 2 weeks. I go, Dad, fuck it, get it. Let's do it. So we started doing it, and he was struggling for money. So like I said, I was paying him to do it, and he would bring his kids over to my house. I would feed them, let them swim in my pool, all this shit. And finally, after like 5 days, I was getting a little irritated because the guy could booze anybody. I'll booze anybody. And he woke up, and it was like 11 o'clock in the afternoon, early morning or late morning. And I was going, dude, I was like, we got the machine out there. You got to get out there and start fucking working. Well, I ended up leaving. I had to go do some shit. I came back. I seen him in my lake in his underwear, like playing around, right? So there was a BB gun on the porch, and I wasn't trying to even really hit him. And he was standing there, and I go, I'm going to fucking scare him. So I shot at him. I hit him.
Oh,
God. This is where it really gets big. So he goes, oh, motherfucker, and is screaming, and then gets out and probably about a half hour later, he's laughing about it. He's on Facebook, screenshotting it and telling everybody, we're here cooking out, but look at the bullet or the pellet I got in my arm. And he hangs out at my house for 2 days after that. Well, his uncle worked for the local sheriff's department, and here he had a warrant out for his arrest. His uncle comes to my house 2 days now later after his BB gun incident, and he goes, Kelly, he goes, I'm coming here to let you know that Brian, if he's here, we found out he's here. I'm coming by myself because if I'd have brought everybody else, it would have been a big story. But if he's here, let him go. If not, if we come back and he's here, you can get in trouble. So I went inside. I closed the door. I found him. He was passed out on the couch. I wake him up. I go, Brian, you got to get the hell out of here, dude. He wouldn't leave. So I called his uncle and said, you know what? He's here. Come get him. I'm not trying to get in trouble for that. Yeah. Everybody knows out in Youngstown how easy it is for me to get in trouble, Right. So he goes and does 2 months in jail. 2 months. Gets out, takes his Joe Bird uniform off, walks over to the local sheriff's office and files a charge against me for assault with a BB gun.
Come on.
I swear, I'm not making this up. You can look at it, look at the dates. And so that's how exactly what happens here in Youngstown with me. They love you on the outside, but on the inside, people will drag you down. But, it's over what you live and you learn from that shit. And I don't have fun no more like that.
Your circle's really small. You can't
you do.
You can't save the world. You can't let people stay at your house with their kids, and it's enough. It's enough. Yeah. I'm like, never leave. Why would they leave? Why would anyone?
Yep. And you got to get better lawyers too.
Right? Well, no, it don't matter. Well, first of all, in a small community, they all scratch each other's backs. But I'm not even going to get into that part of it. One day when I go on a huge rant, yeah, I won't even get into that, but it don't matter. They already had their mind made up. You know what I mean? Like, listen, if it was the average person and 2 months after they got done doing jail time, they walked over, the detective would have took that report and they would have rolled it up and threw it away. But right. they had something there for Kelly, right? It was TMZ material. I'll never forget the guy from TMZ. His name is Mike. I don't know his last name. This is TMZ. He calls me and he goes, after that incident, he goes, Kelly, ain't you from Youngstown? I was like, yeah. He's like, ain't that like a blue collar, like tough area, high crime rates? I was like, yeah. He goes, well, how come we're constantly getting calls, for 4-wheelers and BB guns? He's like, ain't there other shit to worry about there? And I go, you know what? You probably got a better answer to that than I do.
Yep.
By the way, I watch your TikTok videos. You really know what you're talking about. By the way, Kelly gives amazing boxing, like how to throw a punch. They're all short, easy to do. I got to ask you, Jake Paul, because at first I was like, he is growing on me. Is he good? How good is he? Is he going to actually, if he fights a Anderson Silva, who just came across a win against Chavez Jr., is he going to win? If he fights, and now Victor Ortiz just called him out. They're saying he might fight Chavez Jr., Jake Paul. How good is this kid?
All right, let me put this without making people mad. So I'm friends with like Matt Brown, UFC fighter, Matt the Immortal. I'm close with him. I'm close with this kid in Bellator, Dalton Rasta. He's a prospect coming up. So a lot of them get mad, but MMA guys, you're better off taking a person off the street and putting them in a boxing ring than an MMA guy. They just got too many other things to worry about. Their striking is, aside from kicks, is not that good. But they got to worry about takedown. They go through takedown defenses. They go through grappling, rolling. So there's just too much going on. Jake Paul beating these type of fighters that he's beaten, I have no problem with what he's doing. I think actually he could help boxing. You know, boxing is not doing too well. Even though there's so much talent in it right now, boxing ain't like it was in the 80s and 70s and 60s. If they could bring, 400,000 extra viewers, so be it. You get those crossover fans and everybody else coming to the sport. So on that part, I have no problem with it. And if you're a true boxing fan, you should fucking realize that these ain't real fighters. Jake Paul, for who he is fighting, yeah, he's good. Can Jake Paul beat a guy in the top 100? No, not at all. He would get hurt. If you put Jake Paul in there with the number 9 ranked middleweight or super middleweight in the world, he would get destroyed. It would be brutal and ugly. That's the only part that's starting to irritate me. I'm not going to lie to you. You guys will get a kick out of this one. So I'd never really brought my kids around boxing. They know who I am. They know what I accomplished. But that's kind of the gist of it. You know what I mean? And my daughter sent me a text after the last Jake Paul fight. She goes, Dad, if you were just if you trained for a month and a half, do you think you could beat Jake Paul? And I go, are you fucking fist fucking me on this one? I go, can I beat Jake Paul? And that was hard. That was a hard one to take, because she don't know. She sees Jake Paul on TV doing what he's doing. He's a big time YouTube celebrity. And to even question me on that. But so yeah, it's getting to the point with Jake Paul, to kick a fight a little bit for what he does. But his YouTube thing now is starting to come to a point where he's winning these fights, and it's really starting to get the spectators questioning. But at the same time, I have no problem with him doing it because it's still big for the sport and is bringing the attention to the sport that it desperately needs. But don't get it mixed up with him being a top boxer, because he's not,
Logan Paul is supposed to fight Mike Tyson in March. How is that? What's going to happen in that fight?
Well, let's not forget Mike Tyson is 56 years old and owns a weed farm. So no matter how good he looked against Roy Jones, look, Mike Tyson and Roy Jones, they look good for their age. Let's leave it at that. They looked really good for their age. Not knocking it. And I hope when I'm 51, 52 years old, 10, 11 years from now, I can look like that. So I'm not knocking it. But that wasn't Mike Tyson and Roy Jones.
Yeah.
So Logan Paul, a 23-year-old, 24, I don't even know how fuck old they are, going in there against Mike Tyson, he's 6'3". If he beats Mike Tyson, you beat an old man. I don't care how long Mike Tyson been boxing or who he is. Father time catches up. We all know it. I'm only 40. I can't go out and do what I did, 15 years ago. Mike Tyson, but at the end of the day, Mike Tyson still catches him or just plays it slow. Mike Tyson can fuck him up.
So Vitor Belfort is fighting Pat Dawson. That fight has been made. Who do we like in that fight?
I'm going to go with Dawson. Dawson been out for a long time. Dawson's my age. I fought with him in the amateurs. We came out of my teens. We came out of the amateurs together. Chad Dawson actually might be older than me. Yeah. So again, father time catches up, and just because you box all the mirrors don't mean anything. But I would still take Chad Dawson over him. I don't know. It could be an interesting fight.
So Cody Gibson's here. Cody Gibson is used to be in the UFC. Just hasn't went over John Dodson. Before Kelly leaves, any questions for the great Kelly Pavlik? Cody Gibson?
I was going to get your I was listening to your take on what do you think about the Diaz brothers as far as boxing? Because you got a lot of pro boxers that have actually talked about, that they can box and like that.
No, they're good stand-up and UFC and mixed martial arts. And again, this is not knocking mixed martial arts. You guys just got too many other things to work on and worry about aside from punches. And if they go in against a fairly good boxer, they're at a big disadvantage. I talked with Matt Brown about this over and over. It's just, just too many things going on in UFC to worry about one thing. And that'd be like me sending a boxer into an octagon. What chances does a boxer really have in the octagon? Fucking none. You know what I mean? Because an MMA guy knows that he just got his hands, so he's going to shoot, he's going to kick the legs, he's going to do all other kind of things to mess him up. So Diaz, they're good stand-up for mixed martial arts, but that don't carry over to boxing. I mean, a boxer, all we do all day long is work on our craft, work on punches. We don't wrestle, we don't do jiu-jitsu, we don't do Muay Thai. All we focus on is boxing. And when you get a guy, Jake Paul, unfortunately, he works on boxing all day long. So putting Diaz in there with him, I don't think it's a good idea.
I mean, you were saying you're doing 8-hour days.
Yeah.
That's insane. 8 hours of just boxing.
Yep. It would be get up, run, then go to the strength and conditioning, whether it be, lightweight, 100, 300 reps. Then I would go to the boxing gym, then go do functional strength training like sledgehammer, tires. And then I would finish the night off with a swim or a pickup basketball game, kind of break up the monotony of the same exercising where you could have a little bit of fun. So like you go play basketball, you're exercising, you're working on the cross training, and you're not pissed off. You're kind of having a little bit of fun, but still burning calories. So that was kind of what we did.
Well, Kelly, it's an honor to have you, man. Have a happy new year. Thank you for everything, brother. And
thank you, man. This was fun. Great interview.
Keep being you, man. Take care. Great Kelly Pavlik. Thank you, man.
All right, you guys have a good one.
You too.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Cody Gibson coming off a huge win. Dude, you've won 6 out of your last 7. I didn't even realize a couple of those fights I even know you even had. You're killing it, man. Congrats on the big win over John Dodson. And now you're fighting Ray Borg coming up?
Yes, sir. About a month away.
This is what's the organization?
It's Khabib's.
Oh, you're fighting in Khabib's? I thought no more Myrtle Beach fighting XFC, crazy South Carolina. Because that was pretty cool. They had Russell Peters was the announcer.
Yeah.
That was badass. Did that fight go how you thought it was going to go, you and Dotson?
Yeah, I thought it could go like that. I thought, I was hoping to knock him out, but yeah, I thought I could. You can't, I studied the shit out of that dude, and then you fight him and you realize why so many people find themselves running backwards against him. He creates a really weird angle, man. And some of the times I beat him and I could read it in time to beat it. And then other times I was just screwed. So that's all you can do is run backwards and hope he doesn't knock you the hell out,
He's got power. I mean, you look at him and he's like 3'4", and then you look at the guys. I mean, he knocked out Dillashaw. He's knocked out a lot of people. I could tell.
Right? Super fast,
Oh,
isn't he?
He's super. He gets fat. That's a problem. He gets big. He walks around like 180, and then he cuts to 35. Yeah, he's got that Filipino food thing where he gets that Filipino food. He's awesome though. I love Dodson. Great guy. He said he was really mad at you, Cody, because he got into a car accident and he was supposed to fight you, and then you called him or texted him and said, "Hey man, if you need anything, let me know. If you need money, whatever you need, I got you." And he said he wanted to be mad at you, but that you were so nice. Were you really offering him help, or was that like a strategy to get him not to hit you that hard?
No, I mean they had a GoFundMe account for him. His whole family was in the wreck.
Yeah.
And so our fight was obviously off, and so all I did was say like, "Hey, I'll donate 10% of my purse to this GoFundMe." And I just wanted to encourage other people to donate to it. You don't want to ever see anybody struggling like that. So,
dude,
I don't know. I didn't really think about it. And then, people made a bigger deal out of it than I.
No, it's really nice, man. Dude,
we live in Hollywood. It's hard to believe in naturally nice people who do nice.
Bill, Cody and his girlfriend came to my show. I think it was in like Tachi Palace back in the day. They
I
looked
was
like
in Fresno.
Fresno. They both looked like they were like 12 years old. Like they were like little. They were holding hands. It was so cute. And Cody was like, "One day I'm gonna make the UFC," and I'm like, "Good luck, kid." You know. And since then he's made the UFC. He's killed it. He retired and became a school teacher, and now he's like a fighting school teacher. It's like that. Here Comes the Boom, but like in real life. Like he's a history teacher and an English professor and a Bernie Sanders supporter, and he's married with 2 kids, and he's fighting, which is pretty awesome.
Wow, I'm amazed that Dana White will allow a socialist in the UFC to fight, you know?
Now, how'd you get hooked up with Khabib?
We were just kind of, after that last fight, we were hoping, I was hoping to get back to the UFC or Bellator or whatever. Someone was going to pay me some more money. And but nothing was popping up right away. And so my management was kind of just like, wait and see. And I was like, well, screw that. I'm just going to keep fighting. And I mean, if I'm one of the best, if I'm as good as I think I am, then I'll be back and I'll be making more money, just keep winning fights and making money.
Well, you won 6 out of your last 7, and the guys you beat are not easy guys. I looked at the guys you beat. They're all guys who were 22-3, 21-4. Some of these Brazilian guys or Russian guys, you're not taking easy fights at all. I mean, you're fighting tough guys that nobody else wants to fight, which is says a lot about you. Now, there's going to be a lot of eyes in that Khabib thing. I think Kevin Lee's fighting Diego Sanchez in that one, right?
I think he's fighting on their second show in March.
All right. And is Rashad Evans on this one?
Yeah, he's on that one. He's going to be on it.
Fighting Gabriel Checo, who's a really good fighter. But, I mean, Rashad says he's got it, So, at first I was like, come on, Rashad, I don't want to see you get hurt. Your last couple fights in the UFC didn't go well, but nobody, he's still training. He's still working out, and he says he's got it. So, fuck it, right? Let him. Who am I to tell someone not to do what they love doing? Cody, I was reading about you. So you were adopted in Oklahoma, you and your brother, and then you went and you found your adopted parents like 2 years ago.
They found me, yeah.
They found you? Did they want some of your fight purse?
Well, that would have been funny because I could have showed him my bank account, but no. My sister, I had a sister I didn't know about, and she found us on Facebook years ago, and then just one thing kind of led to another, and kind of met my birth parents a couple of years ago.
Now, were your parents who adopted you? Because that's like my biggest fear is I adopt a kid, and then when he's like 20-something or however you, it's like, I want to find my real parents. Were they worried about how you would take it, or were they upset about it? Did they feel like betrayed at all?
No, I don't think so. They were always really open about it. Like when I was a kid, like we were adopted. We didn't really ask a lot of questions because I don't know. We were only 2 and 3 years old when we got adopted, so they were our parents to us, and it didn't really matter. But it has been interesting to like meet people that, you didn't know you had a sister, and now you have this sister who's known about you your whole life, and that's a weird dynamic. And wow. I don't know, man. Still working through it all, but no, my adopted parents, my mom and dad, they might have been a little weirded out by it, but I think that they trust us, and we're gonna have healthy boundaries on everything. So
that's cool.
So is your dad like a fighter? Were you like, oh, this is why I'm a fighter? Was he like a mug? Did he look tough? Was he like? Did it answer some questions for you when you saw your biological father?
Well, my biological father's like 6'5", and my biological mother's like 4'5".
What?
And so I'm 5'10". I landed in the middle, but he's like twice my height. But he was a boxer, actually.
Oh, wow.
I mean, what did you say to them? Did you say to them, hey, listen, how come they said like we were broke or we didn't have the money? We were looking out for you guys. Was it that kind of a thing?
No, he was a drug mule. He ran drugs across Mexico. He was a diesel truck driver and ran drugs from Mexico to America. And he got popped for like 20, 30 years.
Oh, shit.
No, I was not expecting that answer at all.
No, they both had. I mean, they both came from like poor white trash communities. You know, like that like very like. Man, when I went back to meet them, I stayed in my sister's town. It's called Waurika, Oklahoma. Dude, it's crazy to see what the pharmaceutical companies have done through there. Like, it's wild. It's wild. Honestly, like, I kind of anticipated it. And then when I went there and stayed there for a week or so, I was, like, blown away.
So,
wow.
Okay, so they said we were going to jail. We couldn't raise you, so we had to put you up for adoption.
Yeah, I think the courts – I was in foster care for most of those 2 years, and my brother and me were kind of getting moved around in foster care. And then back then, dude, adoption was so easy compared to, like, it was like a handshake, spit on your hand and shake the
cat day or something, yeah.
So then your mom and dad come to Oklahoma, and they're like, we're looking for 2 kids. They're probably looking for 1 kid, but they're like, it's buy one, get one free day in Oklahoma, right?
No, they have family in Oklahoma, and they try to have kids for like 19 years, and they couldn't have any. And they were, and so my dad's aunt who lives in Oklahoma reached out and said, hey, these 2 kids that keep coming in to this hearing aid place that they ran, and my foster mom, was old lady, would go there like once a week, and we were up for adoption. And I don't know, man, it just shit happens in life sometimes like that.
You have to win the UFC championship so I can write the movie. This is an Oscar film. You got hearing aids, you got adoption, you got Mexican drug mules. Your story literally everything, man. You got to be a fucking champion. If you become champion, I'll write the movie. We'll win all the Oscars.
But you turned out great, man. I mean, you're a teacher, and you're inspiring. I mean, he had 1 hiccup. He was on TMZ because he got into a bar fight, right? And he's like, I don't want to fight you. He goes, I'm in the UFC. And the guy's like, yeah, right. And he goes, Google me, bro, right? So then this fucking idiot cracks him in the face. Cody takes the punch, gets down, shoots a low single leg takedown, takes the guy down and chokes him out, which was cool, but he still got punched in the face. So there was 1 hiccup, right? That was like the 1 hiccup, you think? Google me, bro.
Yeah, that wasn't a highlight of my career by any means, but
that's really respectful. You choked him out, which is the nice thing to do.
Adam's memory of the story is way off, but that's okay. I didn't want to correct him.
Did ground and pound him. Got it.
You did take him down, right? You hit a low single on him.
I shot a double leg, and then like all of his buddies grabbed me, and then they just broke it up. Like it was nothing. Like I didn't even get to finish the double leg.
Oh, all right. Well, I like my story better. And like the movie, that's what's gonna happen.
Your story was much better.
But he fights Aljamain Sterling like his first fight. This guy
crazy
in the UFC. But he knocks out Johnny Bedford, who's like the bare knuckle boxing champion, in like 18 seconds. You fought Manny Gambarian. That fight I thought was stopped early, right? That was a fight that was like controversial. Wasn't that a weird fight? The Manny fight?
No, I fucked him up. I dropped him like 3 times in the first 2 rounds, and then at the very end of the second round, he caught me in a choke, and I was like clearly winning, and I just had a lapse. Just had a lapse, man, and got caught in a choke. So
you won that
good
fight.
on him.
In my opinion, you won that fight. And then I thought it was bullshit how he got cut because then you got a great record though. Now, is your wife happy you're going back into fighting?
I don't know if she's happy, but she's supportive.
Because you're always thanking her on Instagram. You're always like, I wouldn't do it if not for my wife. My wife is so supportive, which means that she's not supportive. Because anytime anyone's like, I love my wife, I'm like, oh, he got caught cheating. Like some shit went down. No one just kind of just posts this. So your wife doesn't want you to keep doing it?
It's just a lot, like I work full time and I still try to put in as much work as guys that are doing this full time. I just get up early as shit and I don't get home till late as shit. And she puts on, we got 2 young girls. So she definitely I don't think I could do it if she didn't support me in my efforts,
So you're teaching English, history, and you're coaching wrestling?
No, I just teach. So I teach AP US history, and I'm not coaching right now. I don't teach English. AP US history is kind of like English. I have to read a lot of essays, but
now you're doing critical race theory, right? Isn't that what you're teaching now in the schools?
I'm just trying to inflict as much socialism into the schools as I possibly can.
Dude, he walked around. He didn't just vote for Bernie. He campaigned for Bernie. He went door to door, and then we had him on the podcast with Hector Lombard and Eve Edwards. That was one of the funniest podcasts in the history of podcasts. You talk like people still talk about that. Like Sadiq Youssef hits me up all the time. When are you gonna get those guys back on the podcast to debate?
Yeah. So you're doing Howard Zinn though, for real, in your classes, right? You're doing Howard Zinn, right?
No, I mean I'm doing Eric Foner.
All right, next level.
Bill went to Princeton. I don't know what you guys are talking about, but I just know Bill went to Princeton. He's a very, very bright guy. Also a great comic and a great actor. So you're fighting Ray Borg. Ray Borg fought for the title, big name, has had some really close fights, fought the best guys in the world. Are you training? Are you going over to AKA, or where are you doing your training camp?
I moved over here to the Central Coast from the Central Valley about 2 years ago now. So I'm at the pit with John Hackelman, Antonio Benuelos, old school gym, man. But we got a little crop of fighters, and there's still a lot of history here. And I've been here for about 2 years, so it's cool to just be on an actual fight team, even if it's not a huge one. Like I come from the Central Valley, I didn't have a fight team. I just trained jiu-jitsu at this gym. I boxed over at this gym. I just moved around, you know?
Yeah, I know Hackelman's a big Trump guy, doesn't like the masks at all. Are you guys constantly, is he always making fun of you? Like, oh, here comes the socialist?
The only thing he ever says to me is he thinks that teachers are overpaid.
Overpaid. Most underpaid profession in the fucking world.
What grade? Are you teaching seniors or what? Juniors?
I teach juniors. I've taught seniors. I used to teach economics and government, but I've been teaching AP US history. I have a lot of fun with it. So
teachers and cops should all get 6 figures each, minimum.
For sure.
You'd be so surprised how the caliber of police officer will go up and the caliber of teacher, because I drop my kid off like 8 hours a day with my kid. Like I tell Violet, you have to brush your teeth. No. I'm going to tell Miss Katie, okay, blah, blah, blah. Like, she's the fucking, like, the one making shit happen in my house. Like, it is so important. So, do your kids all watch you fight? Are they all, like, excited about it?
Some of them. I don't really advertise it a ton, but some of the kids take notice and ask. If they ask me about it, I'll tell them. They all know when I'm fighting because I'm like, hey, I'm not going to be here the next couple days.
The other fighter too, the Belizean Bruiser. She's from around your area, right? She's also a teacher and a fighter.
Yeah, we trained together in Visalia before I moved.
She's kind of hot. I'm not gonna lie. She's also she also went very outspoken in a good way. Whatever. Okay. Anyway, so here we are.
Your story is very much like the movie Warrior. Remember Warrior? Right, he was a high school physics teacher.
Yep.
And his wife, they needed the money, and then he got back into fighting after being retired.
Dude, Cody's the best. Because Cody comes to my show, he never laughs. He just like acknowledges it. He comes on the podcast and never smiles. And then at the end, he goes, "It was a great time." I go, "Dude, you're the worst." It's like if resting bitch face was could be on a man, it would be on this dude. Like he. Are you happy, Cody? I mean, you're living the dream, bro. You're a great guy. You got a great marriage. You got 2 little girls. You're a fighter. You're fighting on Khabib's thing. Everyone's going to be watching it. You're fighting a guy who's arguably top 10 in the world. This could put you back into the UFC. Are we not happy?
You got great eyebrows and blue eyes. Come on, what's going on?
My wife wants me to go to one of those eyebrow places to get them trimmed up. I just can't, I know they need to be trimmed up, but I don't, I just can't bring myself to the place, you know?
Are you happy? What's the deal?
I'm good, man. Life is good. It's busy as shit, and I got no complaints.
Good.
I'm trying to raise money. Like, the reason I'm like, all right, I'm just going to fight, and all the money I make, I'm just putting in my mutual fund, and I'm trying to buy a house over here.
Okay. Are we close?
We're getting there, but yeah, this is the first one that I'm getting paid like pretty solid in a while. XMMA was okay, but this is the first bigger one. I sold my house 2 years ago, and then I just put that money away. And yeah, I'm just trying to raise money. It's more expensive over here living next to the ocean, you know?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just fucked up. You're a teacher and you got to worry about that. You're a teacher who literally is like fighting is like I want to fight for money, and so I can help by teaching. That's crazy. That's insane. I mean, are you what? You got to have at least 100,000 saved up, right?
We're heading. Yeah, we want to get at least 2 to 250 saved up, because like a house in the Central Valley is like 250 grand. You can get a really nice house, and then over here, like just a normal, not even that nice of a house, is like 700,000. So
yeah. Well, you only got to put 100,000 down. Not only 100,000, but you got to put 10% down, so 75 down.
Yeah, I want to get, but to make it affordable on a nurse and a teacher salary, I need it to be like less than that, you know?
All right. Well, listen, people, this is I'm like depressed now. I was like, fucking 2022 is over. You ruined it for me, bro. I'm like, no, I'm kidding. Cody, when is this fight? Where can I watch it?
The fight's on Friday, January 28th. To watch it, I believe that Eagle FC is partnered with a platform company. It's free to watch. You just have to download the app. I believe it's called FLX Cast. I don't know. Go to Eagle FC's social media and they have it on there. But yeah, it's free to watch. It's Friday night, and there's some good fights on it. It looks like some interesting ones, if nothing else.
Yeah, I'm excited. He's got to get. Now, are girls allowed to fight in this organization, or no?
I think they got girls fighting in Russia for Eagle FC, so I would imagine. I know people have wondered about that.
But no ring card girls? Are there no ring card girls? I know Khabib's not big on ring card girls.
I don't know. Yeah.
So what are they gonna have instead? They're gonna have like. I mean, I can make 100 jokes right now.
It's gonna be Hasbullah. It's gonna be Hasbullah and like other little people walking around.
Oh God!
I hope I get to meet that kid.
Kid, he's like 50. He's not a kid.
He's like 12.
He's like 19. He's 19.
Yeah, he's like what? Yeah.
It's weird people are holding him on. Like, you're putting a 20-year-old on like your. The whole thing is kind of, I don't know. If he was 12, it'd be fine. I'm not even. If he was like 6 or 3, the whole thing is disturbing to me. But instead of ring card girls, I mean, there's a lot of things I can say. I just don't want to piss off the Islamic community. Anyway, listen, people. Thank you guys so much for being on the podcast. Bill, you're the best. Cody, you're the best.
Rooting for you, Cody. We're rooting for you. I want to write that movie.
You, sir.
Take care, guys.
Let's do it.